Hello and welcome back to the Brodeurland Show. I'm so glad you're here. Today's topic on the Brodeurland Show is risk-taking. That's right. Now, you may be thinking, Mr. Broder, does that mean I got to get out of my comfort shell? I really got to take risks in my life? Of course it does. And to really explore this topic on risk-taking, I've got 3 topics lined up to really help us understand how we can take risks in our lives. And first, we got to talk about how being brave doesn't mean you're not afraid. Rather, it means you feel that fear, but you're still willing to move forward. Second, if you want to try something new, if you want to improve, you got to be willing to dive on in. You got to be willing to try. And third, risk is the price you pay for new opportunities. So, those are the topics we're going to talk about today here on the Brodeurland Show, but you know the drill. We've got to dive on in. We've got to explore what the Brodeurland definition is for risk-taking. So, what are we waiting for? Let's dive on in and let's take a look at this Brodeurland definition right now. So, the Brodeurland definition for risk-taking goes like this. A person who is willing to try things that involve fear or uncertainty in order to achieve a goal and really become that best version of themselves. Now that you know the Brodeurland definition for risk-taking, we've got to explore how we can use risk-taking in our very lives. And to do that, I've got 3 quotes lined up throughout this video to help us explore, to help us better understand how we can be successful at risk-taking and really propel ourselves to becoming that best version of ourselves. So what are we waiting for? Let's dive on in. Let's take a look at our first quote right now. Our first quote today is by Marl Manson, and Marl says this: bravery is not the absence of fear. Bravery is feeling the fear and deciding that something else is more important. So many times I find myself wishing I could be more brave, more courageous in so many different situations. So that way I don't have to feel that fear. But you know what? We're all kidding ourselves. In reality, we all feel fear. We all feel anxiety, whether you're brave in that situation or not. The key is, can you push through that fear? Can you push through that anxiety and really see yourself through? You see, we're so afraid of change. Change is almost like a curse word to so many people, right? And we don't really allow ourselves to change or really allow ourselves to improve until the pain of our current circumstances outweigh the pain of change. Don't wait for that situation to happen. No, think about how much quicker you could reach your goals, how much quicker you could improve yourself if you just changed right away, if you were willing to take that risk, face that fear, and keep marching forward. Now, here's the deal. That's the first step, the first process in really our risk-taking journey. But we got to jump into quote number 2 and really learn how can I really put some action and really march forward and take a big old dive into taking risks. So let's jump into our second quote right now. Our second quote today is by William Faulkner, and William says this: you cannot swim for new horizons until you have courage to lose sight of the shore. Now, facing our fears, facing our anxieties, that's just the beginning of our risk-taking journey. Now what we got to do is we really got to take action steps forward. The problem is when we tend to take action steps, when we start to really move forward, we tend to be a little bit more cautious when we take risks, right? We tend to want to have a backup plan, a plan B, a safety net to fall back on. Now here's the problem with the safety net. When we tend to move forward, we have 1 foot forward, but here's the deal. We still got 1 foot back on shore, 1 foot back to where we were. So in case things go rough, we can jump right back. Here's the problem with that. When you want to take risks, you're never going to see that full reward. You're never going to really see that growth until you really commit, until you really jump forward, until you take that plan B, put it to the side and say, nope, I'm going to jump fully into these uncharted waters. Now that may seem scary and that may seem really frightening, but here's the thing. When you do that, you're going to give yourself all these opportunities for growth, all these opportunities to really move forward, grow, and achieve that success even quicker than trying to keep jumping back to safety. That's the key with taking risks. Can you dive fully in? Can you commit? And that right there is just the key, and that's the spark to take action and keep moving forward. Now, We got one more quote, that's right, to really wrap up our journey here on risk taking. So that way we can get more motivated. That way we can be willing to take the risks going forward. So what are we waiting for? Let's dive on into our final quote right now. Our final quote today is by Tom Selleck, and Tom says this: risk is the price you pay for opportunity. Now here's the deal with risks. At the end of the day, it can be a little bit of a gamble, right? It can be a little bit of a chance. So how do I know when I can take the risk or when I should say, you know what, Mr. Broder, this is not a good risk to take? Good question. Here's what I usually do. There's kind of 3 rules, right? You got to look at, okay, what's the most likely thing to happen when I take this risk, right? What is the best case scenario that is going to happen when I take this risk? And you know what? What's the worst thing that's going to happen when I take this risk, right? Now, if you can live with the worst case scenario and you can live with the most likely case scenario, then it's worth taking that risk. But if you know that the worst case scenario is going to be detrimental, is going to be not that great of a situation, then you know what? Maybe that risk isn't worth it. Even the most likely scenario, if that most likely scenario is not that pleasing or probably is not going to be beneficial for you, then you know what? That risk is not worth it. But if you can live with those scenarios, if you can go, man, you know what? That's not going to be too bad if I fail or fall flat. I can pick myself back up and take the risk. See what's going to happen. See if you can learn from it. See if you can gain some success. That is the key. That is the gamble of taking risks. But the more you take it, the more confident you'll get. The more you'll be willing to try new things, branch out, and really become that best version of yourself. So always remember, you make each day a special day by just you being you. There's no one in the whole world like you except you. And I like you just the way you truly are. It's good that you exist, but you've got to go out there. You've got to take the risks. You got to be willing to try something new, face that fear, and really come out on top so you, yes you, can become that best version of yourself. So until next time, Broder out. Peace.